But just do 30-second thing. How's that? I think we're live, yeah.
Well, hello.
Welcome. Welcome. Let me put the comments on. I think that we are live, guys. If you are seeing us, I am Frankie, and this is Evidential Medium Valerie. Thank you for joining us, guys. If you didn't see, we are on to do some mini free dual readings for you guys, and we're so glad you're here.
We've got our cards ready to go. So if you've got a question, drop it in the comments and we'll do our best to answer it. We may bounce back and forth and together give you a reading on whatever topic you have. But do that and we'll see what happens.
All right, so Facebook to ensure. So it's saying it's giving me a little message. It's saying it's having trouble streaming to Facebook. And so if we should check on Facebook, let me see if I can get on there. If anybody's on and they can see us, let us know. Yeah, check this out and see.
Let's see what I can see too.
Yeah, seeing your end, what you're seeing.
So we're just going to song and dance here for a second. So
yeah.
On and we're a little boring for a moment.
Happy Tuesday if you're joining us, and it is the 1st of July. I can't believe that it's already July 1st. So
this year is human.
It's flying by. So,
are we also live on YouTube right now? We're on Facebook and YouTube. Is that correct?
We should be Facebook and YouTube. So if you can see us, if anyone can see us, let us know. I'm going to jump over to Facebook and just take a look here.
Still looking.
Do you see anything? Anybody joining us? Can you guys see us from where you're at? I'm looking at the technical difficulties and see if we can add this. Do you see us on YouTube at all?
Yeah. I think I do. It says live, but
okay.
I'm looking for our broadcast. It says a month ago, so let me keep looking. Hold on. Yep, there we are.
Okay. So I don't know why Facebook is having some technical difficulties. Let me see if I can unadd it and re-add it. All right. How was your weekend? Did you do anything fun?
I did. I got to see my daughter.
Great.
There we go. See, that's right.
Okay, so I see a touch chat from you. Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, over the weekend I got to see my daughter, and I volunteered on Saturday for a local organization we've got here called the Warrior Healing Center. It does great, amazing work for our veterans in our community, and I got to be in the dunk tank.
Were you really? Oh, how fun. Did you get dunked?
I got dunked a few times. I dunked myself a few times because the seat was a little wonky, so I would wiggle and accidentally fall in.
And it was a free dunking.
I probably should have made a big donation when I was done. I'm gonna try to remember to do that, because the seat came down at one point and I popped up out of the water at the same time the seat was coming down, and I have a little contusion on the bridge of my nose now. It's fun.
Oh no! Are you okay?
I told you to catch up so you can barely see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm okay. I'm okay. It was for a good cause. It was for a good cause.
The risk of. So, how many people got you dunked? Did a few?
I think four of them did. One of them was very humbling. It was a child with a very, very well-developed arm.
Uh,
But it was
well,
it
they
was a
must
lot.
be playing baseball or something. Maybe they're practicing for those things. So,
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to be able to help out. It was only 30 minutes, but I shared a little time. Let's see, the mayor also did a 30-minute stretch. The chief of police did. One of our city councilmen. So we were in good company. We had so many lovely people that gave of their time. So it was fun.
awesome. Well, I don't know. It got on Facebook, but it got back off. So let me just put a post up there. I think we're on YouTube, but for some reason we're having technical difficulties with Facebook.
Mhm.
Um, tell we can tell a little bit about the show next week. You want to tell them about that?
Sure. Next week on our show, the six of us will be getting together for our, I always forget the name, the exact name, the
Spirit Tribe Tea Talk
Spirit
Show.
Tribe. There's so many other things that I'm involved with that have tea in the name somewhere.
I didn't realize that was such a popular name until we got it on Spotify and Apple and Amazon for the podcast, and it's a really popular name. There are a lot of other podcasts with like Spirit Tribe or Tea or something in the name, and when I was
Yeah.
trying to Google it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So,
Great minds, we think alike.
yes, so I'm gonna tell
we're
them
gonna
to
we're
go.
gonna it's gonna be a lot of fun next week. We're gonna let's see. I think I am pulling a tarot and or oracle cards. I'll be doing that. Um, trying to remember what our topic was.
Our topics are Serena, the acupuncturist, is going to be on talking about acupuncture. And so that will be fun. We'll ask her some questions. And then we're going to have Danelle talking about what an empath is. And I think she's going to be giving something away at the end of the show. So I'm excited for that part too. So, yeah. So, all right.
Well, lady, why don't we just? I'm gonna start pulling some collective energy, and I'll start there. Trying to work out our Facebook issues right now. Our technology. I mean, we're good with the energy. We're just not so good with the technology. We're doing our best. So let's see where we're going. Right now, it is July 1st. And this is an interesting energy for us right here. We've got kind of a stalled energy. This always feels to me like cars running. We're not really sure what our destination is. And look, these two guys are just laying down on the job right here. So I feel like this is an energy of switching from one gear to another gear. And I know we always get a little slower in the summer. We always feel a little bit more like we're kind of sitting by the pool and drinking daiquiris and just enjoying the warm weather and the slower pace of the days. But I also feel like this is an energy of now, that pretty soon we're going to kind of shift into a slightly different gear. And if I'm reading the tea leaves of the energy of the world right now, it almost seems like we are in an in-between liminal stage right now where there's a lot of saber rattling going on, but it also feels like this week, maybe, we've sort of paused that. We're still rattling, we're just not rattling quite as loud. So I'm hoping this is an energy we're on the downslope of that, where the peace will come back again. That would be lovely.
Absolutely. And it's the time when all the kids are off of school too, right? So like everybody's vacation season, if you have kids, you're off. If you're a teacher, you're getting ready to go back because you guys are actually going back to school pretty soon there in Arizona, I think. So
yeah, end of July actually.
Yeah, I think
a little earlier even than usual.
No. Yeah. So we'll see, because here in Ohio, we don't go back quite as soon. They go back the end of August, the kids were telling me. So a little bit of time to that. So yeah. And then I also went to this really cute little metaphysical store not far from here where I'm staying at my daughter-in-law's in Columbiana County in Ohio. And they had like all these cute little herbs and lotions and potions. So I was talking with the owner. She was super sweet. And I told her like I would like to do an interview with her about her shop. It was very cute. So And she gave me some different little lotions that were infused. One was infused with like vitamin D, so of course you can see I broke my arm, so the vitamin D is good for that. So yeah, so I was, happy to meet her, and I thought as we're making these connections, because we're working on the app before the end of the year to have developed, that we're always looking for great people to talk to about what they're offering for metaphysical as well as for the show. We're always looking for great guests to come on the show, so I'm excited to see what we're gonna put on next month's show. So I think we have to finalize the topics for that. So we're also in the energy of, we're switching over right from Taurus to Leos, because that's my daughter. I have a bunch of Leos. So maybe we could do a collective reading for Leos. You want to each do a small reading for Leo for their upcoming birthday. How's that sound?
Yeah, let's do that right now. That sounds like a lovely idea.
Okay. And while you do that, I'm going to try to reconnect us to Facebook again. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm doing a reading for Leo right now. If it's almost your birthday, happy birthday.
Okay, yeah.
Leo, the sun, the joy, the strength. I love all of that. All of that energy. What sign is Leo? I can never remember, like water, fire.
I'm thinking Leos are fire signs, I'm pretty sure. So
it makes sense, but it seems like Aquarius should be a water sign, but it isn't. And then it's always get a little mixed up on those.
We got to print out a calendar about all of that, because I know I always do too. But I always think of them as being really fiery, like Aries. So
right, right, that would make sense.
At least mine are all stubborn and ornery. Kids very headstrong. So all right, so let's try to reconnect to Facebook again. And I did put a post, so hopefully our friends on Facebook see that we're having some technical difficulties to go to our site on YouTube.
All right, let's see what we got for Leo. Leo, look, we've got the sun and the moon together, really very much for the moon. But I love how it's almost an eclipse energy right now. Looking at this, I think that things are being a little more illuminated for you than you think that they were before. I think it's really a good time to trust your instincts. There's something going on in your life where you think you know something and you're second guessing that. Really take a step back and lean into that feeling of, I really do know what I know. I'm second guessing this because maybe I don't want this to be the case, but trust your instincts. I think that's what the moon is telling you. And we've always got this little crawdaddy down here. He always makes me giggle here. This is the unexpected thing that is crawling out from the emotional, choppy waters here. So that's what I think is happening, is you've got something that is being revealed for you that you're not entirely sure you want to look at yet, but trust what you're getting, because you know more than you think you are. Now let's do a little kind of a qualifier and see what else this gives us for that. What is that energy that's being revealed right now? My cards they'll fall all over the floor when I don't want them to.
When you don't want them to.
When I have a specific question, they're like, nah. I'll make you work for it. Specific question, they're like, nah. All right. I'll make you work for it. Here we go. We've got the Wheel of Fortune here. And that is the energy that popped out next. So we've got the moon, trust your instincts. Wheel of Fortune reversed. This is all about your energy and your luck and your thoughts and your ideas. Everything changes very, very quickly. This is really about things are not changing as fast as you think. The choice already feels like it's been made. So trust what you're getting, trust your instincts, and take an extra look at that and make sure that that choice is actually what you're looking for, because there might be other things you need to look at. One more card here, the Four of Pentacles reversed. Release some of the things that you're holding too close. It's time to let go and trust a little bit. You've got a lot of things that you're clinging to here in this card, but this is about letting go of some of the material things that you think are so important so that abundance can actually flow to you.
I like that. I like that a lot. So I'm seeing us on my phone on Facebook or YouTube. So we're on YouTube, but I guess we're not doing the Facebook part for some reason. Okay. So let me pull some cards for Leos. And do you have any Leos in your life, Val?
I think I have one, but I haven't talked to him in a very long time that I can think of.
Okay.
I have Scorpios. I am flush with Scorpios.
Scorpios. Oh,
Just about everybody I know in my family is a Scorpio.
Well, I only have one. My sister-in-law is a Scorpio by marriage. So, but I had 2 kids that were Leos, and my mother was a Leo. So very headstrong people, very determined. So happy birthday if it's your birthday, Leo, birthday month. The first card I pulled, and I'm using my Oracle deck, the Goddess deck, is Fortune. Okay, so when you think of fortune, I think of like not just monetary gain, but like blessings. And I pulled this card from my daughter-in-law earlier when we were sitting here, and they just had a baby. And so when I said like being fortunate or abundant, like I feel like this is about abundant. What is abundance to you? It may not be just monetary. It could be a new baby. It could be a situation you've wanted, a new job coming your way, right? And then I got Epina, the wise leadership. So I love these cards. So I always think of Leos as being very, dominant leaders, very headstrong kind of people. They're also very, really sensitive, though, in a way that you would think, usually somebody really outspoken or not afraid or has no filters, I would say. You always think of them as maybe not being sensitive, but I would say that's the opposite of Leos. They're extremely sensitive. So they can dish out a lot, but they can't always take what they dish out, right? So when it comes to leadership, for the Leos, I would say to you, like, be the wise leader. When I think of this, is like, see how she's holding the green heart in her hand. Make sure that as you're being the leader, that you are being wise and using your wisdom to do the right thing for everyone involved. So there's a windfall of abundance or fortune, and I feel like you're the leader, and this feels like something to do with water. And then I got Mama Quocha, the water, which is all about, to me, water is about emotions, but it's also about, like, I feel like forgiveness or having the water wash over you, or how they say water can be very like refreshing and forgiving. And so when you're having issues, or you need to let go, they say like take a warm Epsom's bath or take the water. The water can be very healing. Go to listen to water. So be the wise leader. It's almost like you need to give this situation some thought, and kind of let things kind of flow over you. So to me, I've seen like a work situation where people are, you're the leader, but it seems like you got a lot of conflict going on with all of your people, or people aren't getting along. And also Spirit's telling me this could be family where you're counting your blessings, but then you've got all these things going on, all these people giving their opinions, all these people thinking they know better than you. So be wise, use your discernment to manage these groups of people in ways that make things better, and use the water like to help you, just like kind of, I feel like when you go home, if it's his work or even if it's a family, like you go home and this really takes a toll kind of on you. Like at work you seem on top of it, but like all of these emotions and all, and so when they're saying water and emotions, Frankie here, pay attention, not just washing away, but like all of these emotions of all these people around you certainly affect you as well. So use the water, use it to let go of those emotions and realize that, this is just something you're dealing with. And if you use that wise leadership, you will come out ahead, because you have that fortune card in the beginning. So there is abundance and good things there. There's just some stuff that you got to deal with, some conflicts that aren't so fun, but you've got this. You're a natural leader, Leos. So I trust that you can handle this situation. So
it's a really pretty card. I love that card.
Yeah. So I don't know. We can do signs, since I don't know if we're not getting any feedback on the YouTube. Also, since I'm here at my son's, I'm trying out this new technique. Every time we relocate, we have some technical difficulties. So it's good to try this out before we get to the show next week and see what is going on with the streaming. But I did see us on YouTube, so it is recording. It will be on there. So I don't know. Would you like to do, Val? You want to do some more signs or?
I think we could try one more. Maybe we'll try a different tack a little later on.
Okay, that's okay.
Maybe. All right. Let's see. I'm trying to think right now. I always love to shuffle cards and like do kind of like a life event, like what's going on in the world or stuff like that. It's kind of fun to do. Let me think. I don't know if we do. I was wondering, like, if we do a couple more signs,
or do just a card for each of the signs as we go through. A quick. Let's do this. Hit most of the signs. It's up to you. Or summer signs.
Yeah, let's do the summer signs. What do we have after?
Okay. So we have Leo coming up, and then after Leo, do we have Virgo?
Yeah,
here.
We can try that.
We can do some Virgo.
Okay.
September babies.
Okay, so let's see. For Virgo, I'm going to pull an oracle card for Virgo.
Okay.
Let's see where we go. Let's see. Here we go. Milk and honey. I love this card.
Perfect.
Look at how beautiful that card is. And there's a little elephant just playing in this milk and this honey there. This always feels like things are going really well. They always say land of milk and honey is where you've got abundance and you've got everything you need. But don't forget about the elephant in the room. Don't forget about addressing the problems that are really there, that sometimes we want to get so lost in having fun and having a good time or avoiding things that we tend to forget that there's more to life than just enjoying it. He's under the rainbow. They always say what's over the rainbow is where the real fun is. So don't just hang out here in the milk and honey where it's really comfortable. Maybe push yourself and see what's on the other side, because there could be bliss on the other side of the rainbow. You never know.
No, I like that. I love that. And for Virgo, I picked home. Home came up. So I feel like for Virgo, it's like there's this great enjoyment, a sense of home, like your security, or what do they say? Like make your home as comfortable so you don't want to go anywhere else. Like home is really important. And I will vouch that my other daughter is a Virgo, and so home is really important to her, and that's where she feels safe and secure, and where things are really cozy to her, and she likes to stay home. She's not a big traveler. So if you're a Virgo, I would say home looks like a great place for you. It's like your sanctuary. I feel like you go there and you recharge, you re-energize. So I don't feel like you want to go on a lot of trips this summer or anything, my Virgo friends. You're more just happy being at home, and that is your happy place. So while we're here, Val, let's talk about, I know we talked about doing some shorts for the show. We were talking the one day about what the difference is between oracle cards and tarot cards, and why would you use one over the other, or do you use them together? So tell me what you feel about that, and I'll tell you what I'll share with everyone, like how I feel about them.
That's a great question. That is a really great question, Frankie. The difference between oracle and tarot is it's hard to give kind of a down and dirty explanation. Tarot comes generally from a long history of cards that have been handed down over a long period. They go back several hundred years. And we've got different sets of cards. Like one of the most popular right now is the Rider-Waite Tarot. That's kind of the default that everyone uses. This is the deck that I used here that, people are used to seeing these cards. But there are other decks. There's the Norman deck is a kind of a deck. Trying to think of some of the others. There's a lot of different types and styles of sort of the major decks. And they're all kind of read similarly. Most of the decks have, like, a Rider-Waite Tarot has got 78. They've got a major arcana, which is sort of major life events, and the minor arcana is more like day-to-day things that you need to work on. So that's kind of an energy that it's pretty consistent. Now, Oracle decks, I think there are as many Oracle decks as there are artists and writers and people that can create them. And an Oracle deck is usually a work of literature in and of itself. All of the pictures are unique to the deck. The energies down here, sometimes they'll have keywords, sometimes they'll only be pictures. And generally speaking, you usually get a book that comes with it. Now you see this one's pretty thick. Even though it's small, it's pretty thick. Most of, like, the Rider-Waite Tarot will come with a teeny little white book. And it'll give you kind of a simple energy of what each card means. This you can read in a number of different ways. You can read it as part of a tarot reading and do your own interpretation. You can look up the different meanings, what it means. Some of them will give you advice on, after you've gotten this card, meditate on this, or think about this, or journal about that. You can use them in a variety of ways. Some people use them personally so that you can kind of maybe work on your shadow side or work on your energy in general, or a number of different ways. There's lots of ways to use Oracle decks. Tarot cards, usually, I mean, that's kind of one of those things that's so universal that I think person to person, I could hand you my tarot deck, although there are a lot of rules and lore around touching other people's tarot decks. I could hand you my tarot deck and you could get a reading that would probably be something in the realm of what I would get. There's a lot of intuition that goes into it as well. So each reader has their own unique style. However, Oracle and Tarot, similar outcome as far as feeling into energies and kind of getting ideas of maybe what the future might hold. But the system that for using them is quite different. And I think there are some readers that will only read tarot, some that will only read Oracle, some that mix them up and read them together. There's a variety of different ways to use them. And there used to be a lot of what I would call gatekeepers, Frankie. You know what I'm talking about, where people would say, you have to say that the Two of Wands means this, right? Whereas now people are like, I see the Two of Wands and he's making a decision and trying to decide where to go. But these little roses, these little flowers down here, it's what I'm being drawn to, the red and the white, and that means something to me. I remember my grandma's funeral. She had red and white flowers everywhere. And so I'm thinking of my grandma and then I get little bits of intuitive information based on a little something I might see in a card. So always, in my opinion, trust your intuition over the book reading, because that's better.
And you're giving me goosebumps as you just said that part. But I totally agree with you. Like, there is, classes. Certainly, I've taken classes and gotten certified to be a Doreen Virtue Angel card reader. It's a tarot deck. And I was trained with Mary Greer and Rachel Pollack. They did a class for 5 days on the Rider-Waite, which is the traditional deck that everyone associates reading tarot with, right? Most of the books that people will write will be pictured with the traditional Rider-Waite tarot. And you can, you can use what they teach you about what, number 2 and each number accelerates up to a higher level. 10 is the end, 1 is the beginning. There's those basic principles, but really everything I think you learn. And again, I always say, take what works for you, leave the rest. If someone tells you this is the only way to do that, I would be a little leery of that. We all have gifts, right? And we all interpret things different. We all get clairs or how spirit talks to us differently. The cards are just simply tools to use. And as you get better at them, and I know as a medium, Val, because you're trained in that as well, you may not use cards at all and you get messages. And there's time where I get messages and I'm not really looking at the cards, even though they're there as a tool. So
Mhm.
I always encourage everyone like to trust your intuition. Just because the card has a technical meaning, or if you're just starting off and you read the book, and believe me, we've all been there. I was always like, I've got to read the book, and that's what it means, right? I encourage you to just take the cards and get to know them. Look at the pictures on the cards, get to know your deck. Notice things in the cards that stand out. And I think one of the things I thought was really interesting in a class I took was using the same card to go around to 5 different people and ask a different question. And the card takes on a whole different color, meaning, things, messages you hear. So
Yeah.
trust your intuition. That's really the gift to reading the cards. And like Val said, I think the tarot has a very traditional meaning. There is a certain number of them. There is the major and minor. So there are things that they mean, but every deck is different. So if you're like Val and I, who I'm sure we have more than 2 decks sitting somewhere, each deck is different and the artist is different. So you're going to see something totally different in the Three of Wands and the Rider Waite deck than you will see maybe in a Scarpini deck that I have, or
Mhm.
the Lenormand deck. So even though they kind of have a traditional meaning, we're going to interpret that different based on the pictures and based on the intuition. So don't doubt yourself, trust your intuition. If you're getting a really solid message on a card and you know it typically means this, it's really hard sometimes for us to let like that, oh, it's supposed to mean this, so I can't say anything else, right? Trust your intuition, trust that gut reaction or wherever you get your information from. And that just comes with practice. So for me, I started with the tarot. I will always draw into oracle decks. I have a ton of them. I love them. I love that they're so different. And so not that long ago, I thought, well, I usually do some oracle at the beginning of my readings just to give, I call them
Mhm.
messages from spirit. And then I do the tarot to give like the full story. And I like to read them as a story when I lay my cards out. And one day I said, I wonder if I could do the full reading with just the oracle deck, right? And so I laid them out and I like a 6 card spread. Everybody will find the spread that works for you. So just because the book says you have to do this spread, there's so many spreads, right, Valerie? I mean, people are constantly posting interesting new spreads to try. See what resonates with you, what you like, what works with you, and then use the cards to do that. And so I did a whole reading just with the oracle deck. So to me, once you get in tune with your intuition, the messages are going to come no matter what you're using. They used to use playing cards, right? Years ago, was
Right.
that? Yeah. You can use runes. So they're all just tools to read messages. I've also mixed them together with a tarot deck, which I almost did tonight since I can't use my one arm, and just pulled cards. So you could do a whole reading with a mix of cards. I've seen people do it.
Mhm.
So every time I go to somebody personally for a reading, like they're doing it in a different way. So there isn't one right way to read cards, right? Well, that
I
I think
agree
of.
with that. I
No.
I agree completely. Frankie, you were talking about using your intuition. I was teaching an intuitive tarot class, and my idea behind it was leave what you know at the door. If you've read the book,
Yeah.
that's great, but don't bring that with you and don't feel like you have to look at notes for meanings, because I really wanted people to get in touch with their meaning. Well, we used to kind of have a rule that you had to at least have worked with your tarot deck and had at least some familiarity with it. Well, one day a lady walked in and she was an artist, and she talked the shop owner into letting her join the class. And she had never even touched a tarot deck. And of course, the shop owner came to me and she was like, I don't know. Do you think this is a good idea? And I went, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
And so she came in and she told me she was an artist. I said, great. So you already work in symbols, you already understand how to look at a piece of art. She's like, well, yeah, I do. So I would lay out 3 cards, and I started with one card and I just said, look at the card and tell me what's happening. Just tell me what's going on, and then you tell me what you think the card means. And she looked at it very closely and she said things like, well, this guy's wearing a red tunic. So I think maybe this guy's maybe a little bit of anger or passion. And here's
Yeah.
yellow. That's bright and sunny and positive and joyous. This one is all different kinds of colors. It's speckled over here. So maybe there's a little bit of confusion going on. And she went on and on like this. And she says, well, like this card, for example, it looks like they're fighting, but they also look like they might be building something or just having a good time.
Time
And I
playing.
said, wow. And then we laid out a series of cards, and she just did the same thing. She described the card, looked at it carefully, and made her own meaning out of it. And you know something, Frankie, that blew my mind? Her meanings matched what we would consider the generic textbook meaning for each card. And she had zero training. So
Yeah.
that just told me trust what you're seeing, trust your instincts. You probably are more right than you think you are, no matter what.
No, and I would agree. And I remember in the 5-day class with Rachel and Mary Greer in Omega, um, a lot of what they taught and a lot of how they said they do their readings is they actually lay the cards out and they ask the person getting the reading, what do you see, what does this mean, just like you did to her. And they actually encouraged us to have the client interpret the reading, not necessarily us. So, I thought that was kind of an interesting way to do it. I never thought of asking the client like you did there, like, what do you see, what does the card mean to you?
Yeah.
Because they're going to pull out all kinds of interesting things. So often in my reading, I'll be like, what do you see? What does this mean? Does this mean anything to you? Just like if you get a message for your mediumship and you see something, like we said, a yellow ribbon, and it doesn't mean anything to us, doesn't mean it isn't going to mean something to the person we're giving the message to.
Right.
And
Right.
so I think it's
You're gonna get that person go, you know that song, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Round the Old Oak Tree? That was my nanny's favorite song. She listened to it again and again. And you're gonna connect with that and they're gonna trigger a memory and it's gonna mean something to that person. You're exactly right, Frankie. That's amazing.
So I think the cards and any tool that you use, I think it's all about how you interpret it and also what it means to the person that you're doing the reading for. So,
Mhm.
this card may have a significant specific meaning in the book, but it's going to mean something totally different to the person that you're reading it to and the message that you're giving. And I really encourage you all, and that's part of what we do the show for and building community, is to trust your intuition and to join us if you have questions, you want to learn more. We're here to, answer those questions and tell you what we've experienced so that you don't feel like maybe you're alone and that, you've experienced something similar, but you doubted yourself. So trust your
Mhm.
intuition. Your intuition is often never wrong, right? In so many parts of life too, right? Val, isn't that true? If we only listened
Exactly.
a little more.
Sometimes it's when we look back and we realize we didn't listen that's where the real stumbling blocks tend to add up
Yeah.
right there. You were talking about that and trusting intuition, and I was talking to a young lady online who said she was just about to start her first psychic fair, and she'd never read really for people before ever, other than friends and family, and she was a little nervous. She was lacking some confidence, and I told her, first of all, nobody knows how long you've been reading unless you tell them. So that's kind of the first thing. They're just going to assume you know what you're doing. And if you've read for friends and family, you do know what you're doing. And I said, second of all, if you get stuck, take a look at the card and really read the card, just like we just explained a few minutes ago. And she said, well, what if I get somebody down that's been reading tarot for a really long time and they're pointing to the cards and telling me what the meanings are? I said, that's happened. I said, just lean into it. When they're like, oh, I get it. I've got a new idea because that's the Ace of Swords and I've got this. Yes, take it, hold it up, put it in their face, say, yeah, what are you drawn to in this card? See what they do, and then build that reading between the two of you rather than you be the end all authority. They'll feel included and they won't feel like you're doing anything wrong, and they'll probably enjoy it and go, well, I never thought about reading like that. So
No.
it's a way to do it.
No, and I think somebody joined us. If you joined us, drop a comment in. We were having some technical difficulties earlier, and apologize. But we're talking about the difference between oracle card and tarot card, and if there is a difference, and why you would choose to use one over the other. So I think that was a really great discussion on that, Val, and I think we should encourage people to just trust your intuition, give it a try. And there isn't really a right or wrong way. We will talk about ethics in another episode, because there are some things to consider when you're telling people information that people may take to heart. And what's the wording I'm trying to think of, like sometimes you go to the doctor and the doctor tells you bad news, and if you grasp on to only the bad news, you can make things come true. Like, we can manifest anything. So you want to be cautious a little bit about ethics, and we'll have a chapter on the show. Our show next week is next Wednesday at 4:30 Arizona time, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. It's Spirit Tribe Tea Talk Show, where we discuss everything spiritual and metaphysical. And we're going to have on an acupuncturist, Serena, next Wednesday. And we're also going to talk with Danelle about what is an empath and being empathic, and how does that affect you and the ones around you. We'll also do some cards of the day. We'll have some fun conversations and a giveaway at the end of the show. So we'll be giving away something. So make sure that you stay tuned. And again, that'll be on our YouTube channel and should be on Facebook too. So stay tuned for that. So
Yeah,
well, it's gonna be good. So yeah, I don't know, since I have to work out these technical difficulties for next week, that I don't know, we couldn't see any comments, but I did see we are on YouTube, and it looks like somebody is watching the channel, but I can't really see who either. So if you're watching, you want to drop your name in the comments, and we want to see if the comments are working. I would be curious about that. And yeah.
Yes, we could give you a little mini reading if you're out there just kind of watching what we're doing. We're happy to do. If you have a question, we can answer. Or you have a question about reading tarot or oracle cards, we'll do our best to answer that as well.
Yeah. I think I'm going to edit that section to use as a little mini episode. I think it'll be good. I was liking what when we were on the last show, we should talk a little bit about that on the next show, is how the screen kept popping back, and then we were talking about Kendra's dad, and I thought that was really an interesting comment for people to see.
Interesting.
How spirit can show up in the most obvious ways or unobvious. So not to say we don't have technical difficulties, but the screen kept jumping around, which didn't happen in the first show. And so every time I was trying to put Kendra up to talk, it would jump to Val and bring her up as the sole person. And I kept going, I don't understand what's going on, every time I tried to highlight a comment and show. And so when we were all finished, we were sitting there talking, and our comment was, Kendra, what did Kendra say about her dad? Whenever she was in a room, he would randomly, and something about the TV would just come on. And that was a sign, and I'm getting goosebumps as I say that, from her dad, who's passed away. And so they talked about that. And so we were joking, because she then shared that she thought that her dad was there forcing his way in. He wanted Val to give, because Val talked about being a medium and mediumship. He kept highlighting Val because he wanted to get a message across to Kendra. And she said she's not surprised that would be him, because he would always come and turn the TVs on randomly in rooms that she would walk in. And we were just laughing. We thought that was really funny. So it's just another way, right, how spirit can point out something or be there in a funny thing.
If I recall correctly on that too, Frankie, I gave out a random example for something like describing a human, and she went, "That's my dad." And it wasn't a random example. I thought it was, but spirit does that a lot. Especially, I take a class with a really wonderful mediumship teacher. Her name is Carol Massey. She's amazing. And she will toss out a random example for the next exercise we're about to do. And sure as anything, somebody will raise their hand and own that person, and she'll say, "See, spirit." And it's really lovely when that happens, because spirit, when spirit really wants to get a message across, especially if you've got a medium in your family or in your friend base, they'll be pinged with that information. And we never want to share messages unless it's okay. We don't want to just walk up and tap someone on the shoulder like the Long Island medium. That's not really how that happens. They have people, they sign waivers, they do things. You don't generally just walk up and tap someone on the shoulder and just give them a cold reading. But I have called friends and I've said, hey, I think I've got messages coming through from your mom. Is it okay if we connect, and we'll set a meeting point and connect? Because spirit will wait. I don't have to do it right now. Spirit will wait until the time is right. But they know the energy is building before we know it. So you have to sort of trust that. And Kendra's dad, that was a perfect example that he knew what was up and he said, okay, I see my opportunity. Let's take it.
Yeah, I said, I don't know what went wrong, but every time I tried to flip the screen back over, it just kept coming to Val and coming to Val and coming to Val. So
I guess so. So we took the time offline, which was fine. But how many of us have had that happen where something electronic will happen? You've seen videos where like the lights in a kitchen will go bonkers or the lights will dim and bright. I mean, if your air conditioning's running and it just kicks into a cycle, that's probably what's happening, right? But if it's just random and the electric is good and nothing strange is going on, and all of a sudden your lights go off and then back on, or there's a pattern, pay attention to that because that's somebody trying to get in charge. Now, I have a friend that I worked in radio with who left us some time ago, and I have these little Amazon speakers in my studio. And after he passed, I came in for 2 weeks into that studio. No one had been in the studio for 2 weeks, and I kept coming in, and there'd be a song playing. And it was never a song that I knew. It was always, I'd listen to the lyrics and I'd write them down and go, well, that is absolutely something he would have said, or something he would have tried to convey, or it was blowing my mind. And it only happened for this 2-week period and it hasn't happened since. And
yeah, I lost my high school boyfriend passed away and he was in a car accident. Mm-hmm. And right before he passed away, I had gone, he worked at this little hardware store and he gave me this little keychain thing for my key, and it would like go beep 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 beep, like make some funny little noises once in a while, or when it was voice activated. And so me and my best friend were driving home from the funeral that night after this happened. It was quite tragic. And the whole way home, we were like I was taking her back to college and we were in the car, and the whole way we were talking about him, and that kept going off and going off and going off as we were driving because it was attached to the keys. And we both we were crying and we were laughing at this has got to be Michael, giving us a message that he's here with us. It was just so funny. And then I don't think that thing hardly ever really went off, but that night it was just going off like crazy. So or ever you walk somewhere or you're in a room and you smell the perfume of somebody you used to know, or a cigarette. I remember walking in the porch over in Arizona when I first got there, and I had the strong presence of a male figure, and I smelled cigarette smoke, but there was nobody around for miles smoking. And I'm like, I think the old owner was older gentleman who sat on the porch and smoked. And so it's just those things where you get those little confirmations that, or a butterfly. I think of if I see a dragonfly or a butterfly that come really close or land right by me, or fly right in front of my view, that it reminds me of my mom or my grandmother. And so those things, bring kind of a message from them. And so it's just nice to have that message that, maybe that person's thinking about you, maybe you're thinking about them. But it brings back those wonderful memories and feelings. And I feel like they're watching over you, protecting you in a way when you get those messages. So
I agree. It's like they're saying hi. I call them spirit winks. I love that. Yeah. It's like they're saying hi and reminding you, I'm still here. I'm still here.
So Val she's done open reads at our center when we had it in Arizona, and I'm trying to encourage her to do one virtually, but Val does do mediumship readings. So on the board is her information ticking by if you're interested in getting a mediumship read. Also, hopefully she might do a live evidential mediumship, and it's really fun and it's amazing to watch her give you a message from someone who's passed. And in a group setting and have it specifically give you some validation to some things that you might be looking for. So so stay tuned. Maybe I'll talk her into doing it again soon. So
I'd be willing to do it. I've done it a couple of times in some of my classes. I've had some practice sessions doing that. So I feel like I'm at the point where I could take it on. I could try it. I'd like to.
Right. All right. Well, I know the comments didn't work, so I saw people one person coming in and out here and there. But I said, how about we end it here and we'll just go backstage and thank you if you joined us today. If you watched this live, we're excited that you did. And we will see you hopefully next Wednesday for the show, Spirit Tribe Tea Talk. Thank you.
Thank you.